Alright, so now that we know the different components of a website, I want to go over the different types of websites that are out there. Alright, so the most simplest type of website is a static HTML website, and it's basically just HTML. There's no server-side programming. It doesn't interact or get data from a database. All the data that you see on the screen is actually just written in the HTML file as text and of course HTML tags. They're usually very small and simple websites, and the reason that you don't want to use this, you don't want to have a static website for a site that has a lot of pages, because every single aspect needs to go into every HTML file. For instance, the navigation menu, you would have to type that out in every single page. So let's say you wanted to add a link to it, you would have to go to every single HTML page and manually type in the link with the anchor text. And that's just very inefficient. So basically, usually a static website would be maybe a small business that only has maybe a home page with an about page, maybe a services page, and maybe even a contact form, which isn't static, but just a very low level of server-side programming. Alright, so next we have the opposite of static websites, which is dynamic websites. Now, after this slide, we're going to go into e-commerce websites, social networks. Those are all dynamic websites. They all fit into this category. Alright, so static and dynamic are basically the top levels when you're talking about the types of websites. And then e-commerce and all that goes under dynamic websites. Alright, so these are websites that are always changing or updating in response to different contexts and conditions. For instance, Facebook, when you make a post, the page changes. It's not just a static page that just sits there. It's always changing. If you log into your account and you go to your profile settings, that's different for everyone else. Alright, so those are dynamic pages. And of course they interact with the web server. And they do that by using a server-side scripting language like PHP, Ruby, Python. And of course there's some kind of database integration, whether it's a relational database like MySQL or a NoSQL database like MongoDB. And I would definitely suggest after this, if you want to go ahead and learn about server-side programming, we have some programming tutorials, some videos, and we also have different types of database courses as well. One thing we haven't talked about is client-side scripting, and that's client-side scripting is usually done with JavaScript, and it is dynamic, but it's usually dynamic in terms of maybe a slideshow, something like that. It has to do with the page content and how you can view it. Alright, so maybe a pop-up, things like that. JavaScript and client-side languages, they don't interact with a database, alright, or they don't really interact with the server unless you're using something like Node.js, which is way beyond this course. But JavaScript's usually used for slideshows and things like that, which is a type of dynamic website. E-commerce websites. E-commerce stands for electronic commerce, basically a shopping cart. eBay is a type of e-commerce website. What else? Amazon. Amazon's obviously the largest e-commerce website. And all buying and all buying and selling is done through the website. Okay, and that could be a store selling, or it could be users that sign up and sell their stuff, like eBay. And there's usually online transactions, whether it's through PayPal or something else, and a merchant account is needed to be able to do this, to be able to take credit cards, and also a payment gateway. And some of the common payment gateways are PayPal, Authorize.net, Google Wallet, and there's a whole bunch of them. Now, when you're making transactions on your website, you want to make sure, again, I touched on this in the last section, but you want to get an SSL certificate for encryption. All right, when you go to an online store, you'll look up in the URL address bar, and it'll usually say HTTPS. That means that there's an SSL certificate installed and everything's being encrypted. Okay. Products on e-commerce websites can be physical or downloadable. They can be something you buy and gets shipped to you, or it could be maybe music or software that you can download. Okay, social networks. I'm sure everyone knows what this is. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and different social networks have various types of functionality. Some of the most common are profiles, some kind of messaging system, friends, groups. For instance, Facebook has groups, LinkedIn has professional groups, forums, which are less popular than they used to be, instant messaging, and video chat. All right, so that's not all of them, but those are some of the most common types of social functionality. Users can usually sign up or register with the website and create their own account, and they should usually have their own area where they can interact and share information. For instance, Facebook statuses or updates. There's usually some kind of media sharing. You can share pictures and videos, and they do take a lot of money and time to develop. There's a lot of different functionality there, so it there's a lot of work in building a social network. So next we have directory or catalog websites, and these are usually informational websites that store data in a database. You can have a product catalog, but if you're doing online transactions and it's an e-commerce site, a catalog site basically has products, but you can't buy them through the website. The information is usually searchable by multiple fields using an HTML form. Business listings, freelancers, product listings are all examples of a directory or catalog website. And some examples are Yelp, Yellow Pages, and Yahoo. Yahoo is a search engine, but it also has different directories. So lastly, we have blogs and news sites. These are also informational websites, but much more personal than a directory-based website. It could have one author. It could have many authors. All right. There's usually a comment section for your readers to give feedback, ask questions, things like that. And typically you'll see some buttons to share posts. You could share the post you're reading on Facebook and Twitter and all the social sites. Okay, so a blog website is fairly easy to build if you look at, comparing to social media sites and all that. So those are the main types of websites that are out there. Of course, it's not all of them, but just some of the more popular ones. All right, so that's it for this section. I'll see you in the next. Thanks.